Here. Robert won't be joining us because he had a medical emergency within the last hour, and then I think I'm just waiting for our Stacy to jump in. And in the meantime, we were just watching Dr. Diane De Silva. She just did a 3 o'clock live segment with. She's in Portland for us. She's doing the show, the station that you did, Pat. And since you've been there, we got more clever with our bookings there. So she taped 4 today. She did 1 live with the morning show, 1 live with the afternoon show, and we got them to do 2 pre-tapes that'll run this summer.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, to economize, being there and the time it takes to be there. And
that'll be great for book sales.
I think so, and then they plugged her book signing tonight, which is at 7 o'clock at the Portland, Oregon New Renaissance Bookstore, which is one of my favorite bookstores in the planet, especially since the Bodhi tree's been gone. So, anyway, just getting started. We're on our last week. I will definitely miss this calls and our time together because I've been really enjoying. I've been enjoying the interaction during the week because each of you have been checking in with, honestly, progress, new developments that is respective to where each of you are in your process, but it just shows me the power of a group, even if it's a small group, and I just feel like we've made, tremendous leaps or got over the hump of something for everybody. So do you want to report in first and just kind of talk? I know, Pat, you've got some really just good news on if you think we're really close to a book title for you. So do you want to share that?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So, the feedback was great from everybody, and I just knew that there was some word or words within all that came together. And so the simplest version, straight version I came up with is, okay, they got to be quiet in the back. Okay. So is career reincarnation. And then the subtitle is going to be something like, a creative rebirth after your job dies. So I like it.
I like it too.
And I immediately Googled it thinking, well, that's such a simple title. That's got to be taken. And I Googled it, I Amazoned it, and nobody's done that yet. So
I like it.
So yeah, I like it too.
Can I hear it again?
Well, the main title is Career Reincarnation. And then the subtitle, I haven't finalized yet, but, creative, purposeful life after your job dies or after your career dies, something like that.
Yeah, I think you said rebirth. Creative rebirth after your job dies.
Yeah.
Because that just plays on the theme. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. I really like it. I feel like we've come so far since
from where you started, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like, I get it. It's spot on to what you're.
You don't have to explain it.
No, exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for facilitating.
Yeah, thanks for entrusting me going along with it. And then, Richard, you've been pretty energized about your writing. Do you want to share anything or talk about it?
It's been good. And today I just, my mind was telling me, you've got to get to Costco. I haven't been there in about a month, so I was making a long list and all this. And then I just realized, wow, this is just a distraction. I've got to get back, I've got to write today. So it turned out to be, it was 76 minutes and 41 seconds of some of the best writing I've done. And it's because I thought, well, I think I'll live today if I, decide to go to Costco tomorrow. So it showed me a lot. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. And I think you even said you're going to sign up to do our next round because you like the accountability. So that would be great.
Plus, I think you just titled another book, which is I think I'll live today if I go to Costco tomorrow. That could be a whole.
That is so great. That is so great. So let me share with you some of the updates I put together for the call. Just keeping it current with where we know what we've been following along with our whole book process. Where is my little cursor? Where's my, can I get that one thing over here? Okay. All right, so if you're up from, will you watch the KTLA appearance we had with Guyani Disclosure from the beginning of the week? You up for that? And then I was going to take you.
Yep, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Dealing with tweens can really test your parenting skills. A child psychiatrist is here with how you can break past that communication barrier and stay connected with your growing kid.
Puberty is a pivotal time in the relationship between a parent and a child. Your kid seems to withdraw from communicating with you, and it seems that everything that parents do is wrong, silly, or embarrassing.
Now, this can be a very natural phase or an indication of something more serious, and Dr. Guidebook is a child and adolescent psychiatrist, the author of a book, The Psychiatrist's Guide, Helping Parents Reach Your Depressed Tween. I'm so glad you're here, Dr. Thank you. Good morning. I have a 12-year-old. I have a tween daughter. Right. So when you talk about all the drama that can happen in the communication, that is the key, because sometimes they don't want to talk. Yeah, I also have an 11-year-old son. I'm a mom and a physician. And, our tweens, this age between 8 and 13, is such a pivotal time, as you have said. And this generation is going through such a complexity of life that no other generation has gone through before. They're bombarded by all this media and different ways of connecting that isn't personal. Their faces are stuck on their cell phones, they're Snapchatting and making faces and communicating that way. So how are parents supposed to get through to their teen, or their tween, their child? And then when you add depression or anxiety on top of that, it makes it even harder, because depression and anxiety is very different. Connecting to a tween who doesn't have depression and anxiety is much easier, it kind of flows. But when you're trying to connect to your tween who has depression or anxiety, it's almost impossible. And every day in my practice in Laguna Beach, parents come to me and say, I can't get through to my child. My child is stuck in their room. They won't come out of their room. For instance, I have this child who, Mariah, she's 11 years old, and she's a very bright, vibrant girl, communicates a lot, has lots of friends, goes to play dates, does well in school, gradually started to avoid going to school, to the point where she couldn't even get out of the car to go to school, to the point where she was stuck in her room. And mom was calling me in the morning saying she's crawled up in her bed and she won't go, and it's been like this for 7 days. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's called anxiety, school-based anxiety, and it's anxiety disorder. It's not just the blues. It's not just the situational nervousness. She actually physically can't get out of bed. Tim, a 13-year-old child who loves to play soccer and is gregarious and can go to school and do really well and get straight A's, all of a sudden can't move, can't sleep, can't eat, can't concentrate, because these depression and anxiety are brain disorders. They're not just feelings. Feelings come and they go. They're like clouds. They pass.
Yeah.
But depression and anxiety are actual illnesses.
And you have some steps, so let's try to get to as many as we can. First, you say the rocking chair. What is that?
Yes, I love the rocking chair. This is something that my son and I have used since he was an infant. So the rocking chair doesn't have to be a rocking chair necessarily, but a place where you go to with your child that becomes a sacred place where you can connect. You sit side by side, you make a physical connection, and you learn to just know that is a safe place. And it conditions the brain, actually, for the child to anticipate that this rocking chair or this sports chair this time is a place for them to calm down and connect with the parent. There are other steps too. Being very clear about expectations. Yes, exactly. So being clear about expectations means that you say what you do what you say, and you say what you do. So, and you do it in mundane times. When you're driving your child to school for school drop-off, you can say, hey, we're going to be a little bit early. I hope you have a good time communicating with your friends.
start school, have a great day at school. You know what, your grandmother is going to pick you up from school and then take you home, and you'll be there for a couple of hours, and then I'll come after work. I finish work around 5:30. I'll be there as soon as I can, and then we're going to have dinner together and finish up whatever homework that you have to do. I'd really like you to do your homework, most of it before I get home, so we can spend that time together.
The next one may be really tough for parents, and that is give them space.
Giving them space is so hard because in my book I talk about the fix-it parent versus the heal-it parent. And the fix-it parent is what we want to do. We don't want our children to be suffering, but they do suffer, and especially if they have depression or anxiety, they're having a hard time suffering. So give them the space to feel their feelings. At this age, between 8 and 13 as tweens, their cognitive functionings haven't fully developed, even though this is a critical time and their brains are rapidly growing and they're developing those systems that have the higher level of cognitive functioning, have the ability to handle stress and feelings and memory, and their reward systems are building. So this is a time for you really to give them that space to kind of sort it out. If you ask them how you're feeling, well, guess what? They're feeling every feeling under the sun. And how do you pull one out? And feeling of those feelings, trying to validate their feelings and know that sometimes it's easy to say, oh, come on, it's just drama, it's just girl drama. Right, and because you know what that feeling is and you know it's going to pass, but they don't know that. So I'll give you an example. I saw a child who was about 14 years old, and she was so very, very depressed and anxious, and she described herself as being in a tunnel, and she couldn't see the light. So the way that I validated that feeling was to say, yes, I understand. I understand that you are in this tunnel, and you can't see your way around. You can't even see the walls. It just feels like everything's closing in on you. So you reflect back to them what you know that feeling feels like, and then you tell them, I can see that light. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I want you, I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to be next to you. And we are going to walk this tunnel because I can see the light, so we can walk towards it until you see it. And then you and I will go together towards that light. And she said, I can't see it, but that's exactly how I feel. And I trust you. So, okay, just a deep breath. Trust is everything. You're building that trust when you validate, when you set clear expectations, when you have that rocking chair time. And the other thing is, take time for yourself, because when we're parents and we're in that situation where your child is suffering, oh my gosh, that anxiety just wells up, right? And we just want to jump in, we want to fix it, we want to take it away. But don't do that. Take a step back. Breathe. Because our anxiety is not going to help our child. Anxiety. Right? I'm going to do all these things today. I'm great. I love that. I feel so much better. So I had counseling just now. Thank you.
Dr. Jacquie De Silva is a child and adolescent psychiatrist and author of a Psychiatrist's Guide, helping parents reach your depressed tweens. You can learn more at the website LagunaFamily.com. Thank you.
There we go. So anyway, we got 6.5 minutes. Can you hear me all right?
Great.
Okay.
Great exposure.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? The best part for me though, Jackie, was watching your face.
Watch it.
As Guidebook didn't do any of the things you coached her to do.
I was actually conscious that it's being recorded on this whole thing with you, that you couldn't see that.
Also, as like a proud parent.
Exactly. Thank you.
But it was a great.
The whole panel there. The whole Channel 5 panel there. That was impressive.
Well, yeah, she
Very
had.
impressive.
Yeah. That was, and for me, you know, on me, I'm like, that was a lot of content, and you could just tell I was like, take control of it.
Yeah. I
did.
thought. She ran for it. Oh, what a great segment. That is awesome.
No, she did great.
Thank you. So, yeah, we were. That is so funny. I was aware of it. Okay, so here's the part that I want to show you. So she did the segment on Monday, and it was in there. It's in the period. It wasn't sweeps period, but it's in there. The expression is escaping me, but it's
the July book. The July book.
It is the July book, and it's also right because it's a holiday, going into a holiday, so it's a swing day. So they can try new content, try new people. I think it's the test day. So that's one of the reasons they keep regular programming going, because they can test things. So her audience was, the audience was 53,000. And Pat, you probably know this better than me, but her in between ad value was $1,400. The segment was 6.5 minutes, but it was scheduled for 5.5 minutes. She did steal an extra minute. we got spanked on the other end for that and she took it right out of the entertainment block. Sam Rubin was not his producer was not happy. But it just also shows you how every single minute is accounted for. So the ad value of Subway were to advertise in between would have been $18,900, but the publicity value for the actual appearance is $56,000. So her one appearance is the value of the entire contract that she paid us. So that's and if the exposure translates well, that should translate back to her Laguna practice, thereby justifying the investment. So that's how everybody's like, what's the ROI? And that's really how we look at it as a company. So I share that. Yeah, it's, and KTLA for us is a big deal, and to get that. And I will also say because, Pat, you've done many of appearances for us on the local level, at least at the KTLA level, they actually read the books. And
that's a whole different league.
Yeah, so they read the book. She got booked on the merit of the quality of the book, and so that was really cool as well on that. So, so that's that piece. Did you have any questions on that?
Okay. I just, just as an aside, Jackie, what would you have told her to do differently?
Oh, breathe, and she needed to. It's involvement. So she owned the content. She kept personality. She delivered the content, but she forgot that they were there.
Yeah.
She
delivered her speech rather than had a conversation.
Yes. There was no breathing room.
No, it's good for me to see that just for the same reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you don't, and that problem, I would rather have her have the problem that she just had and get the content out, than not to get the content out, not to finish the segment and have them run it. But now she's got to find the equilibrium, the balance between breathing, letting, because they're parents, and she didn't capitalize on the spontaneity of all of them being parents. She could have taken hosts of a news program and also given them a moment to express that they're parents, and that would have been delightful. So yes, that's what, and the producer came, strutting into the green room right after and said, before you say anything, let me just say, great segment, no breathing room. So, so she got the note from the show right away. But I think it's a great question, and like I said, it's at this level of the game.
Yeah, just what you learned.
Yeah, it's what you learn, and it's where you need to be anyway. I would so rather her deliver her content, take an extra minute, and run over the host than under-deliver. If she under-delivered, it would have been a bigger problem. So over-delivering, not a problem. Yeah. So thanks for asking. That's a great question. Great question. So Anatomy of a Best-Selling Book. We pulled this infogram. Because it's about fiction, but average length of a best-selling book is 375 pages. Our expert books are never like that. Lead characters are lawyers or detectives in a fiction book. So this is mostly about the fiction books, but for us with the best-selling book, let me just give you our ingredients here. Amazon's much easier to hit the best-selling book. It's just really a time period in which you just have to sell at a higher rate, and we've done Amazon many, many times. If we traffic a certain amount of books in the overnight, it's just easier to hit it. Then we grab the screenshots of the placement to show that we've gotten a low, that we got the mark that we needed. And we have done it with a fiction book. We've done it with several Darren Campbell's books, which is why we get to say he's a best-selling author. And then as a result of doing that, Amazon ran a lot of promotions with his book, first book, Alex Detailed Revolution. So that's been a really proactive way for us getting the bestseller. The New York Times bestselling list, the best way for us to do that at this point is to pre-sell the book, then literally hold the sales of the book and then release them in the measuring period where the New York Times runs. And if we do that with the New York Times, if we do it within the measurement period, which is 1 week from release, 7-day period, then we can also probably hit the Wall Street Journal Times, Best Seller List, USA Today, In Washington Post, we just kind of hit them all because they have the same kind of measurement. But that's based on truncating basically the pre-sales. So when I'm working with an author, like we're working right now with Dr. De Silva, we're literally at this point right now building her list. So at this point, we're not going to, at one truncated period of time, sell 10 to 12,000 books in 1 week. We can over a course of a year at this point, but what we need to do right now is to build her list so that we have a future chance of doing that. Right now with Darren Campo's list, we just started today get a report that we're starting to get a handful of returns. I think we got about 22, 24 returns on his book Stingers, which is our fiction book. So I reached out to him and said, can we hit your list? He's an NYU professor, so he's got students, he's got fans. He's a lecturer and a speaker. I said, can we hit the list so that we can sell some books? The minute I can sell the books, then I can keep the rest of the volume of books that I already have out on bookstore bookshelves. That's kind of how we do it. We work with it in terms of books. And then Rachel, who works with us mostly in our publishing, but you might know her from our on-camera training workshops, she's all in the process right now of trailing and calling all the bookstores. So we're packaging Dr. Jacquie De Silva's book, the Psychiatrist's Guidebook, with our other doctor, Dr. Phil Dembo's book, Real Purpose of Parenting. So we're doing them as 2 book sales just to repeat the book sales of Phil Dembo. So we just call all the bookstore buyers to make sure that they have them on the shelf. What is so surprising is how, a couple things that I've learned about at least the bookstore retail space is that, in the publishing space overall, but the whole literary agent to publishing is really interesting because even when I had my literary agent out of Curtis Brown out of New York City, they took like summers off. They would take like 7-week vacations, literary agents. And I was like, I don't know how you get anything done with those type of vacations. So the publishing industry has its own time period. And then the retail stores, we'll go into a store, we'll go to the store counter, we'll ask for the book, we'll ask for the title. We don't say we're a publisher, but we check the bookstores to see that the book. And they'll have it in their system that they have 1 on the shelf or 2 on the shelf or 3 on the shelf. And of course we go to shelves and we can't find the books, and then we ask them to find the books. So there's a lack of calibration in what they show, what they report, and what's on the shelf, and so it puts us, all publishers, really at a disadvantage in terms of keeping the books in the marketplace because we're very small and we're not dealing with a large volume of books. We have the ability to just really stay on it. And what I found is the retail bookstores really appreciate that. They really appreciate the fact that we're tactile with them. And then today, because Dr. Gaiati's doing 4 appearances that I mentioned at KATU, Pat, is that the station you did it at in Portland? And then we were able to plug.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. Okay, great. So she's doing that. So we were able to plug on the 3 o'clock live that she's going to be at the new Renaissance Bookstore. We got a full screen graphic. We put Renaissance Bookstore that she's speaking there. They put the address up, and then we get to send a promotional clip to the bookstore saying, look, we just did this plug with our author. And then we send it to our distributors out of Lithia, Georgia, and then to our Barnes & Noble bookseller representative. This is what we're doing. And I do not see, even on the bigger publishing side, that kind of like holistic, hands-on approach, because the larger publishers primarily just manage through their sellers and their distributors, but they really don't ever touch base on a one-on-one level with the retailers. But since we're doing the book signings and we're kind of micromanaging our own bookstore, we've been able to full circuit our own loop with that. So it's been really helpful. But even with our Amazon relations, having hit the bestseller list with Darren Campo, we were able to. Amazon ran a electronic promo. I don't see Amazon doing it the same way that they used to anymore, so it's definitely shifted. But for a while, we were really part of like Amazon's recommended reads, or their newsletters went out, or the algorithms that they did for the type of people who ordered his books would go out, and his books would be included, and that's how a little publisher like us really got an advantage on that. So that's kind of the alchemy of the bestseller as we've been able to crack that code for now. Yeah, so there we go on that. I think I might have mentioned this before, but over here it says print books account for 80% of total sales. Ebooks account for 20%. I actually find that to be true, and I think I said earlier that if we have published ebooks without the print book, the ebooks don't sell at all. They flatline. If we have a printed book, we can sell the ebooks easily. It seems just like in the marketplace that we're required to have a printed book in order to sell an electronic book. Dr. Guyani's book, she's getting orders from Australia right now. I guess she's got relations in Australia, but we have the Kindle available in Australia and all the major territories. We're not doing a printed book in Australia and the major territories at this point, but we're able to sell the ebooks, but we have the printed book for it. Publishers Weekly yesterday just did it was in Publishers Weekly yesterday, I read it, that in 2017, which is this year, that print books are continuing to outsell ebooks. So yay for that. I'm very tactile, so I'm all for the book. And of course, Amazon controls 65% of the ebook market, which doesn't leave I mean, I guess it doesn't say a lot for the Nook, but we do a lot of our own promotion. I just kind of looking over at Stephanie at that, but we kind of do a lot of our own promotion with Nooks. We really push Barnes & Noble, and we also push Nooks. This also goes on to talk about publishing deals versus self-publishing, kind of making us go full circle from our very first workshop we had together. It says the median advance of books is $10,000. When we worked with Dr. Diana Kirshner in 2007, before we had our own publishing company, we were able to participate in her getting a $250,000 3-book deal advance in 2007. Then a year later, we started our publishing company. But I've not seen anybody get an advance quite that large at all since then. I think even our authors who, we have a handful of authors who have been published, who still guestperts. They're not our authors, but they're our guestperts. They seem to get anywhere between $2,500 advances to $5,000 seems to be, if they get an advance, that seems to be the deal on the advances. Royalty rates, this is pretty accurate. Richard knows this. They're usually 7% to 25%. I think that's high. I would actually say they're usually between 5% and 12% on royalties. Of course, authors keep 70% of their self-published book when it's on Amazon, which is accurate on the screen here. But 70% of 100 people is $70. What would but if a publisher can reach 10,000 sales and you're getting 7%, I think you're probably squaring up better than $70 on that. So I think that's what you have to look at with publishing. We get a lot of people that literally say they're selling 100 books a month on Amazon, and that's honestly, those are extraordinary numbers. If somebody is self-published and is selling 100 books a month, I say you don't need us for publishing. You might, we can support your own publicity, but if you're selling like that 100 books a month, those are really good numbers for a self-publisher. And over the last 5 years, close to 40 independent authors have sold more than 1 million copies of their ebooks on Amazon. Most literary prizes don't accept self-published books, and I'll also say most national media programs also don't accept self-published books. And I try to be really clear with that when we're taking guestperts on who want us to help promote their self-published books, that again, we can get them on the major shows. They can plug their book, but we can't get them a segment. Like the KTLA book segment was specifically about her book. It's very hard to book a national segment for a self-published book. We can get it for other content, but not for that. So this is taken from Writers Digest .com is where we pulled this. Mark Twain. Writing is easy. All you have to do is cross out the wrong words. I think all you have to do is write, actually, in order to write. Stacy, I just wanted to acknowledge you. I see that you're on the call, so thank you so much for being here today. Whoa, go back. Go back. There we go. Okay. So once you've started writing, you need a total, where do I need to do that pause? Let's scroll down. What do I need to do? Once you've started writing, you need a total word count for your book. Oh my goodness, I didn't do this last week. What do I need to do? There it is.
You keep wanting to animate.
It just keeps wanting to move away from me.
We've got it now.
Once you started writing, you need a total word count for your book. Think in terms of 10,000 word increments and break each chapter into roughly equal lengths. Our first chapters of most of our books are sometimes around 14,000 words, and then there you can kind of taper off 8,000, 10,000, but it's just a good average. 10,000 words equals a pamphlet or a business white paper. The read time is 30 to 60 minutes. 20,000 words is a short ebook or manifesto. The Communist Manifesto is an example of this at 18,000 words. Read time is 1 hour to 2 hours. 40 to 60,000 words, this is a company sweet spot. And the standard nonfiction book, novella, The Great Gatsby, is an example of this. The read time is 3 to 4 hours. And 80,000 to 100,000 words, is, they say it's a very long nonfiction book or long novel. That would be true for us. Our fiction books are 75,000 words to 100. The 4-hour week falls into this. 4-hour, I think, read work week falls into this range. Interesting. And then 100,000 words, epic length novel, academic book, biography, read time 6 to 8 hours. The Steve Jobs biography would fit into this category. So I think we pulled that from goinswriter.com. I just like it, again, because we're 5 weeks into it. We're pacing the writing. Our commitment to you is that if you have a finished manuscript to us or a manuscript to us within 6 months of, today, we'll read and give you some notes on the book based on that. But in terms of knowing where you are in the process, we're looking for 40 to 60,000 words for a published book. So, yeah, that's keeping that going there. Writer's block is a condition primarily associated with writing in which an author loses the ability to produce new work or experiences a creative shutdown. The condition ranges in difficulty from coming up with original ideas to being unable to produce a work for years. So we are committed to doing 10 minutes a day. I can exchange emails with each of you if you want to stay in touch with each other. Our ladies group, that which turned out to be a ladies group last time, did it, and they're still connecting with each other to continue the writing process with it. And like I think I had said to you earlier, when I wrote my first book, I kept writing and rewriting the same thing over and over, but saying it 1,000 different ways. But I guess the good news was that I continued to write and not, as opposed to not write at all. So that is one way of getting over it. I'm a big believer in shifting the energy. If you get stuck on the writing, like if you can't write at the house, go to the coffee shop. I wrote so much of my books at Casa Del Mar, the lobby overlooking the ocean. For some reason, I could go in there and sit for 2 hours and get a concentrated period of writing done. Shift the energy as opposed to getting distracted by, as Richard said earlier today, getting stuck at Costco shopping list. But I do believe in shifting the energy if you just kind of can't get the writing. If you're writing in the morning and you're getting stuck writing in the morning, then maybe put your writing time till the evening in order to do that. So whatever that means in order of shifting the energy, or getting up earlier in the morning to put the 10 minutes in. It's only 10 minutes. We can do anything for 10 minutes. And hopefully you'll get started and in the flow, and then you'll write some more. Write in the company of another writer, I think, is also a really great way to get the book written and to get the book completed. There was when I was doing the Casa Del Mar writing, and I had book author deadlines, I would meet a woman who was taking the bar exam. So she would study for the bar exam, and we'd have tea, and I would do my writing to meet my publisher's deadlines at the time, and they just got me through it. Again, accountability, whichever way it comes to you to support you in keeping the process going, is just some of the ideas that have worked for me personally. Bookend is the other way of doing it, which is just letting somebody, being accountable to somebody else. I'm going to start writing, my 10 minutes, and then letting them know when you've finished it here. we use the whole bookend technique on a lot of the different projects that we're working with our clients in order to just get the process completed. Change the scenery, that was how I did it with the going to Casa Del Mar to keep that fresh, just anything to keep that. Stephanie and I were at Book Expo. We were out there last year, and we had maybe 4 hours. We were checked out of our hotel room. We'd already left the Jacob Javits Center, but it was too early to go to the airport. We didn't want to sit at the airport, and so we brought our little, we tethered our phones to the computers and sat in Central Park for 4 hours and did our work. And that was was some of the best. It was like some of the best time we had working in New York during that Book Expo. It was great. It was it was just so. But we were still working on blankets and just getting it done. It was really great. And then we talked about this, he just said this office today, we're talking about read someone you like, because Stephanie takes a lot of screenwriting. She's in part of a screenwriting group, and so she's trying to get through a script that she's trying to write, so she's now reading Dexter scripts in order to get, herself going with her storytelling on a script that she's writing. So I think that if you can find someone or read someone that you like, that is comparable to what you're trying to achieve, it just kind of keeps you in that vein or in that energy. And really, I'm just trying to continue the support here of what you're going to do after today's session ends, so that you don't lose either the time investment and the resource investment in this, and that you can keep the momentum going. But reading someone you like really works as well. We are as a company getting ready to do a couple of real estate books for a few clients. So we just, as a team, each of us read Gary Keller's book 1, because it's part real estate, part motivation, just to kind of see which direction we were going to go with these real estate books that we're doing for a client. Another technique I learned was to use prompts. And I learned this from Laura Davis. I took a couple of her creative writing workshops. It was funny, really funny to me, because I took a couple of her workshops in the last couple of years. And it's like yoga and creative writing and for women, this weekend retreat thing. And it was the first time I went into a group and I actually identified myself as a writer. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world that it took me that long to even think of myself as a writer. I've already written 2 books myself that have been published. I've written, tons of articles. I write content for other people all the time for a living. I publish other people's books, and yet it was the first time I actually even considered myself a writer, which was a profound moment for me. I was like, oh, I'm a writer. But anyway, Laura Davis taught me the idea of using prompts. So even when I was stuck on writing, if I could see something, or if here's an example. In my inbox today, I just saw one of the newsletters that comes into me, and it was about overcoming fear. But the take on overcoming fear was that the idea of fear was really being out of alignment with reality. It's an over-intensified amplification of a concern that's out of alignment. And I think that's what I liked, was with reality. And so using it as a prompt back to your own content, and bringing that as a prompt back into your content, even if you circle all the way through it and you don't actually even use the original idea, the idea of a prompt is just to get you into the flow of writing if you don't have a specific direction or starting point to get you into your cycle of writing. The idea of using prompts was really good, and I've witnessed that. And we essentially, just even as a company, really what we do on all of our hot topics in the Guestpert participation is that's literally what we're doing, is we're looking at prompts and we're passing them off as hot topics. Either they've been given to us by producers, or we see a particular content trend coming, then we pass it off to the Guestpert to develop some content for that as well. And I'll just say on the media piece, I can't articulate enough, especially on the TV front, making sure you've got enough content, that your content is solid. And if you are on social media, ways to stay in touch with us. If you aren't already, Pat, you're such a good friend to us on LinkedIn and on Facebook. But we've got the Facebook TV Guestpert, which is where we post all of the TV Guestpert appearances. We're on at Twitter at TV Guestpert. And then we have like a YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, we've got Pat's shows, we've got our demo reels. We've got all of our guest-expert appearances. We have our result reels. There's all sorts of categories there. So that's also just like a good way of staying in touch and seeing what we're up to. So the creative inspiration going forward here, of course, is to continue writing. Again, happy to pass off your each other's emails to each other if that's of interest to each of you, so that you can stay in touch to do it. We're gearing up to do our next round of 5 weeks. That is Thursday, July 27th. If you know anybody that would benefit from participating in our 5 weeks of doing this. Again, I think I think it's just good for getting over the hump, or getting started, or getting unstuck, or getting a sense of direction. And as you know, it's group feedback, which I think is really beneficial. So that will be it. Feel free to stay in touch with us about the work that you're doing and putting together, and then make sure that before November you send us that manuscript so that we can have a handful. I think 3 of us will go through it to read it, which should be hopefully a beneficial perk to having participated here. So that's all I have. Any questions that I can answer?
Wow, that's all great. I was going to ask you, Jackie, with this new title, how should I go about kind of protecting and owning that?
Great question. I always grab the domain names is always the first piece of it. And then because you do what's that?
And the Facebook page.
There you go. Grab a Facebook page with it. I think the other ways to incorporate it is, you do it, including it in your workshop content.
Right.
And also start using it like in your bio as upcoming author or author of the upcoming book. So start updating it in all your places. Use it in your workshop. And yeah, I think that's it. And you can always register with the Writers Guild.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good. Okay.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
just get that done.
Even the Psychiatrist Guide, there is another Psychiatrist Guide book out there. The reason we still go with it is because she's going to do a Psychiatrist Guide to Teen Addiction as the next book. So we just wanted to keep the branding going. So I think but I like your new title. I think we're so we so hit that. Stacey, anything you want to chime in here? I'm just going to open the chat here for you. You've been our eavesdropper over the course of the 4 weeks during your job. Let's type it here. Thank you for a great course.
Yeah,
Great. Yeah, so now let's see what else I can share with you. Robert, looks like his books are going to go into the Teen Choice Awards, so we will have placement for that book. We'll use the PR that he gets from the images and the pictures and the mentions to promote the book that he wants to get out on the shelves by this time in November for pilot season. So that's where we're looking forward to that with him as well. Yeah.
I did look at my manuscript while we were talking, Jackie, and it looks like the proposal is part of the manuscript, so it looks like I'm about at 35,000 words already. So
that's really good.
Does that, that fits.
A little under, it's a little thin. Yeah, it's a little light, but but you also, you've done so much between your TV show and your guest star appearances. You have so much other content now that you can easily pull it together. And I would, if you're going to run, I would love to hear what your literary agent says about the title.
Right. Yep.
If she's got any feedback on it for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's great.
She's not my agent yet,
No, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
She's giving me feedback without being an agent.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the title. a lot.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think it works with the overall brand and everything that you're doing.
Plus, just think of the cover art. I mean, you know, when you show a hand coming out of a grave. No, wait a minute.
You know, I have to say, like, you know, there's the image. What comes to me first, what I see is a red book cover. I see a white ladder. And do you know how in your opening graphics on Remade in America, it's your likeness in the cartoon?
Right. Uh-huh.
I still see
Yeah.
like the guy coming off the corporate ladder, like or like coming
Yeah,
off
I
the
like that.
ladder and then reaching back to something new. Like that's kind of what I see.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Something
transition.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I see. Like jumping off, like going from the corporate ladder maybe to a tree that's blooming or fruitful.
Yeah.
But something where it's also, that image is very specific. It is you know, just like it is done in your show graphics, opening show graphics.
Yeah, right. Oh, I like that.
I should too. I can so see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your name at the bottom and the title at the top and the image, you know, right, and the guy in the middle, reaching from one to the other.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, that's how I would do it.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And Richard, you're good?
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much for this. It was great.
Excellent. Excellent.
Great experience.
And again, yeah, so we're doing our next one on the Thursday the 27th. If you know anybody who would benefit from this, you know, keep us in mind.
I don't know. I'll forward it to my buddy Stan. Sure.
Sure. Thank you. That would be great. That would be great. All right.
Same time.
Okay.
Yeah. It just seems to be because for our East Coast people it's 7 o'clock and it just seems to work. Yeah, we'll be the same time.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks again, Jackie.
All right. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Take care.